I'm Robin Nance, National Portfolio Ambassador for Beam Suntory.
Hi, I'm Jessie McGuire, the Marketing Manager here in the US for The Blend, Beam Suntory's new trade engagement platform. The Blend has been in Australia for a number of years. It actually started in Australia and has now started to expand into a number of different international markets and has finally come to the United States. We are so excited to have you experience what we've been building for a couple years now. We took the amazing work that our friends in Australia had done on the Blend over the past really over a decade and expanded it a little bit, added our own unique touch for the United States, and are, like I said, so excited to have it come into the world and be available now for you to become a member of.
Hopefully by now you've heard about The Blend. Just in case you haven't, The Blend is our new hospitality-facing website from Beam Suntory, and it's not just another brand website. It was really important to us that we create a hub and a home for the hospitality industry as a whole to have some place to go for information that they might be seeking. So whether you're a host or a barback or a server or a bartender, maybe you're just starting out or trying to break into the industry, maybe you've been in the industry for a few years and you're just curious what other people are doing.
The purpose of The Blend is to inspire, educate, and support hospitality workers from the beginning of their career all the way through, at all stages of their career. And when we say the hospitality industry, we really mean everyone. I personally have been in the hospitality industry now for about 15 years, and I started as a host and then moved my way up to a server and so forth and so on until I finally came into the brand world a number of years ago. So it's really close to my heart, and one of the main focuses of The Blend is to make sure that all voices are heard on our website.
You can come to The Blend, and we've engaged with some really incredible people all across the industry, and everything you'll find is going to be from them. It's in their voice. They've done all the work, amazing writing and some great video series. There's a tiny bit of branded content on there, but really the bulk of it is about you all and what you need and questions that you might have, and hopefully we have some answers for you. Hopefully we have a lot of answers for you.
We've also gathered together an incredible collection of books, an incredible collection of podcasts, almost as if we used to have to ask around, right, to find those resources. What's the best podcast to listen to? What should I be listening to as an industry professional that wants to keep developing their career? And obviously it's a little bit harder to ask around now, so we figured we'd gather all those things into one place. In addition to all the resources that we're offering, we have some amazing learning modules as well, a lot of in-depth brand education if that's what you really want to learn about. And then we're also one of my personal favorite campaigns that we have on the website is called Blends of the World. And Blends of the World started in Australia as well, and we partner with global mentors to bring forth knowledge that they think that the industry could really benefit from.
We have some really incredible mentors right now in the Blends of the Virtual World section on The Blend. We have Joe Schofield with incredible bartender admin resources, really kind of walking you through spreadsheets and different things from day to day that you might need, communication skills, and those are right now on the website, so you can go check those out. We also have a really beautiful series of modules from Luke Wearty from Birdie, and all you have to do is go to The Blend and sign up. Everything is free. Once you sign up, you have access to all those classes.
In the past, Blends of the World not only was featured on the Blend site, but we also had some in-person live events that our members could take part in, seminars with the global mentors, etc. Obviously, we're living in a brand new world that is a little challenging when it comes to being in the same place at the same time. So we've shifted Blends of the World to now become Blends of the Virtual World.
Now, Blends of the Virtual World was not virtual until March of this year. But obviously our world has changed and we aren't able to gather in person. So we wanted to make sure that this program, which brings global mentors to you that you can engage with, we wanted to bring them to you in a virtual way where you can engage whenever you like, wherever you are. We had planned this really big, fancy launch party at Tales of the Cocktail in New Orleans that we were very excited about. And we obviously have made the switch to a virtual launch. I think it's super exciting that we get to do a virtual Tales. There are so many people that aren't able to make it to New Orleans every year, and now we can bring Tales to them wherever they are. So I think it's super exciting, and it's great because the Blend is a global site, and each kind of location has their version. So why are we here today? Well, we are here to introduce our very first US mentors for our Blends of the Virtual World series. And I could not be more excited or more honored that these two incredible human beings have chosen to work with us and be our first US mentors. So I am thrilled to introduce to you today Alex Jump and Lauren Paylor of Focus on Health. When Jesse and I started talking about who we wanted to be our first US mentors, I mean, it was really important that we chose the right people and that whoever we chose was equally excited to work with us. So we started thinking about what was really important and what we felt was being talked about quite a bit, but that the conversation kind of needed to be elevated a little more. And with everything happening in our world right now with COVID and social justice, we were really, really passionate about having a conversation around balancing work and wellness. As we were sort of paying attention and listening to the industry, a couple of voices really rose to the top when it came to taking care of yourself and trying to find that balance. And Alex and LP have been really incredibly vulnerable in sharing their story and the tools that work for them, and sometimes the tools that didn't. So I think that you'll be really excited to check out these modules. They'll be available on the site in early October. And there's some really useful information in there, and hopefully you'll be inspired by their journeys to start your own journey or build something into a journey that you're already on with wellness and balance. But I'm really excited that they have chosen to share their stories through us at the Blend.
We're just so excited to have their voices as our first mentors for Blends of the Virtual World in the United States. I think right now it's a really important time to refocus our energy onto ourselves, and Lauren and Alex are taking us on their journey through finding ways to balance work and wellness in regular times and now in the really trying times that we're all dealing with. I think their voices, especially right now, are extremely timely, and I personally am excited to hear what they have to say, work alongside them in their journeys, and really have some time to examine what I'm doing to help myself balance work and wellness and take care of myself, not only in a physical way, but in a mental way as well. Lauren and Alex talking to you today is just the tip of the iceberg. We are going to be releasing their full Blends of the Virtual World campaign on the website in the coming weeks with a lot more content, more in-depth, a little bit of a different peek into both of their lives. And we hope that you will enjoy today's discussion and also take a look at theblend.us and everything it has to offer.
And without further ado, here they are to introduce their modules, Alex and LP.
My name is Lauren Paylor and I live in Washington, D.C.
My name is Alex Jump and I live in Denver, Colorado.
FOH is a company that Alex Jump and I started in early March.
It is a project to bring resources, tools, and outreach for any kind of wellness to people who work in the F&B industry.
We both have gone through our own journeys of health and wellness over the last few years, and we're both very vocal about the issues that we personally deal with. And along the way, we have found things that have worked for us that we felt was important to share with everyone else.
LP and I started FOH because we both love the hospitality industry, and independently we saw through our careers that we were struggling to have a healthy lifestyle while working in this industry, but we didn't want that to be the end all be all. We didn't want that to be the norm. We believe that people can work in hospitality and have healthy careers in the industry, lifelong careers, and not kill themselves doing so. And so we started FOH so that we could bring resources to those people so that they can have happy, long careers in this industry.
I've known Alex for about 4 years. We used to be baby brand ambassadors together for a whiskey brand based out of Nashville, and we'd both seen each other's journey and over the years and growth, and we've both always prioritized health and wellness. So during the beginning of the year, I was kind of at a point where I was very much determined and decided, I want to do something to really get back into health, and I saw that she was doing it. And I reached out and I figured, two is better than one. Why don't we work on this together? And that's what's brought us here today.
Today, I'm going to be talking and teaching about my journey in finding work-life balance.
Today, I'm going to be speaking with all of you about the importance of work-life balance and ensuring that it is sustainable. We're going to take a look at my life before quarantine, a look at my life now during quarantine, and then all of the things that I've implemented on a day-to-day to ensure that once I am back into the work field, that I am doing things just as they are now. You can find out more about FOH on our Instagram at FOHealth, our Facebook at FOHEALTHH, or our website fohealth.org. As hospitality individuals, we often focus on taking care of others and put taking care of ourselves by the wayside. Let's take a look at the importance of maintaining lifestyle changes during and post-quarantine. How do we make these into sustainable habits? Health and wellness is a concept that affects every single individual here today. It is different and unique for every person and can sometimes be challenging to manage. About a year ago, I decided to start seeing a therapist. Talking to a therapist helped me tremendously. Additionally, I turned to fitness as an outlet. When I was working at the bar, I managed to find a routine in my day-to-day and to be extremely mindful of the decisions I made and how they affected me. So when we look at creating a balanced routine, there are a few things to take into consideration. So we're going to go through the who, what, where, when, why, right? Who's important to me? We make time for the people we want to make time for, but it's also important to ensure we're making time for ourselves. It's really easy to fall right back into that rabbit hole, and we want to make sure that, especially during this time where there are just so many emotional burdens, that we are taking care of the things and the people that mean the most to us. What is the objective? What is my goal? What am I trying to accomplish here? My what is ensuring that my physical and mental state are stable and that I'm placing myself in a position where I am good, because if I am not, then nobody else will be. It's kind of like the oxygen masker falling in a plane. I have to put my mask on before I can help someone else. When I like to ask myself is, when can I make time for myself? Making time to catch up with my family and friends. Where is the when where I am prioritizing myself and my needs? Whether that's going to the beach, taking a walk, spending time taking care of my plants. Make sure that you are scheduling time for yourself and what it is that you need. The where do I need to make adjustments in my plan to ensure that it is sustainable? What adjustments do I need to make to ensure that in the long term, I can continue to support this cause? Not that I'm in a position where I can only help out this one time, right? I often set myself up in a position where I run the marathon without training because I'm so anxious and eager to get involved. And I've realized, especially during this time, how important it is to ensure that I am taking it one day at a time. Because in the long run, it is more sustainable practice. It is extremely long lasting. And I am putting myself in a position where it is not an emotional burden. And the why. Why do I want to do this? What are my short-term and my long-term goals? So why do I ultimately want to go through all of this? Why am I planning this? Because I want to be fulfilled. I want to be the best version of myself that I can possibly be. So next thing we want to look at is, how do I make my habits sustainable? So we want to create measurable goals. We want to create sustainable habits. I am going to go on a run versus I am going to run a marathon, or even I want to run a marathon, right? We want to take it one day at a time. We work slowly towards our goals, and if we're realistic, we can accomplish them. They can be attainable. There is nothing worse than being over-optimistic and quitting during the process because things become too difficult. And I'm guilty of that, which is the reason why I'm sitting here today, ensuring that I'm vocalizing that this is no way to ensure that we are taking steps to make these habits sustainable. Be kind to yourself and make time for adjustments. It's not going to be easy. It may not even be comfortable in the beginning, but at the end of the day, by prioritizing the things that make your goals attainable and possible, it'll ultimately affect your overall health. Make sure you're being kind to yourself. Make sure you are making time for adjustments. Make sure that you understand that this stuff does not occur overnight. It takes some time. Create a schedule for yourself. Plan times during the day to be able to schedule time for activities. We all work really hard. It's really important that we're planning time to do the things that are special to us, that provide us with ease and comfort. There's no other time to do it than now. Just make sure that you are doing what you need to do to be the best version of yourself. I find for me, being organized assists in my ability to prepare and to take action. And lastly, focus on health. We have a surplus of resources available on our website and on our Instagram. And I'd really love if you could all take a look and see if maybe there's something there for you. We have a bunch of new content coming out shortly, and I truly do believe that, what works for one person doesn't necessarily work for the other, but that we've done a really great job at finding something for everyone.
Hi, I'm Alex Jump. I grew up in Chattanooga, Tennessee, which is where I first started working in hospitality. I found that achieving work-life balance and having a life centered around wellness is not mutually exclusive with working in hospitality. Finding work-life balance is hard because it's something that most people, myself included, can't really speak about from a position of having achieved it. Instead, we're all constantly working towards this goal. It's not a perfect journey for anyone. Much like anything else in life, in order to get better at something, it just takes practice. It's that simple. So I try to remind myself, all the time that I'm continually practicing at having better work-life balance. Just like I'm continually learning to be a better manager and be a better bartender and a better hospitalitarian. Discovering that I can exist both in the hospitality sector and still having interests outside of the hospitality sector as well. What we're really talking about here is the big, dark, looming monster, the B word, burnout. Whether we feel like it or not, we are in control of our lives. So when we burn out, we only have ourselves to blame. It's a hard pill to swallow, for sure. My life was moving at a pace that I just couldn't keep up with. It's not about being able to erase that issue, but rather it's about learning to recognize the issue and taking proactive steps towards preventing it from happening in the future. So once I was able to recognize that there was a significant issue with the amount of balance that I had in my life, and that I personally was the one responsible for not giving myself balance, I was then responsible for taking steps to start fixing that problem. I realized that if I wanted to continue to learn and to be a better manager and a better bartender, then I actually needed to still be here. I was seeing people in our industry left and right dropping like flies because they were burnt out and they just couldn't continue. And I didn't want to lose faith in what I was doing and what our industry as a whole is doing. So I took a step back and I realized that I was the one causing myself to feel this way, that I was burning myself out, and it wasn't my bosses or my coworkers or really anyone other than me. Let's start with the topic of the word no. It's a really touchy topic for people who work in hospitality, and I get it, trust me. It's hard to say no. I think in our industry, we're, coached to never say no. It's always a yes, and eventually really the only person that we ever say no to is ourselves, ironically. Being able to reflect on how and why you're feeling certain ways at work is a really great tool for starting to recognize when you are burning out. And it's something that takes a lot of empathy. Being kind to yourself and reflecting on how you're feeling is not easy for anyone, and it's particularly not easy for people who work in hospitality. There's that whole saying of treat others the way you want to be treated, but I feel like in the hospitality industry, it really should be rephrased, and it should say, treat yourself the way that you treat others. We live to please other people. There's something really beautiful about that, but it doesn't mean that we have to neglect ourselves along the way. That's a really hard concept for most hospitalitarians to grasp, that you're allowed to treat yourself just as well as you treat everyone else. By not being able to say no, I was quickly losing my life to work. The struggles that I had were pretty cyclical, so they went a little something like this. I would struggle with saying yes to everything that I was asked to do because I felt like I should say yes to every opportunity that I was given. I felt like if I didn't say yes, then I would lose out on more opportunities in the future, or I wouldn't be chosen for the promotion or for the job that I wanted. By saying yes to everything that I was offered, I was overscheduling my time, and I became overwhelmed with the amount that I had on my plate. I'm constantly worried about my performance, if I'm doing a good enough job, if I'm liked, etc. That negative chatter in my head is pretty hard to turn off. And I think for myself and for a lot of people in our industry probably, I sought to solve that problem by giving work everything that I had. Working 55 plus hours a week was no problem, because if I could be at the bar, then I could work harder and I could be in control and be a better employee and a better bartender. But what I didn't realize was that that's just not the case. In fact, pretty much the opposite is true. If I had just taken a step back and said no every once in a while and gave myself space to take a breath and clear my head, I could return to work more confident, ready to get the work done in a productive manner, and happier to be there because I wasn't exhausted and feeling like I was overworked. It's okay to have interests that exist outside of the hospitality industry. This is a newer revelation for me and one that I'm still really diving into. For the most part, I have 2020 to thank for this revelation. In being forced to take not just a small step, but a giant leap away from work, I started to look at my life and ask myself what made me happy. What I realized was that over my tenure in the industry, I had been completely sucked into it. My interests, hobbies, and things that made me happy were essentially non-existent. But at some point over the last 10 years, I've lost who that person was. And what I'd exclusively become was a person who was dedicated to serving others. I didn't want to be that. I wanted to be Alex Jump, the person who does things that make her happy and also a career that she loves. and I started to believe that that was actually possible. You can't have work-life balance without having a life. It's part of the word. This means that in order to find it, you have to spend some time getting to know yourself and giving yourself space to exist outside of your work. Eventually, don't you think that if your only hobby was going to cocktail conferences or going out to eat and drink, that you might get a little bit bored? You can't pour from an empty cup, and likewise, you can't pour from a cup that's wholeheartedly filled by your work. For instance, maybe don't dedicate every moment of your time off this year to food and beverage related activities. Instead of committing to every conference or every educational opportunity that comes along, give yourself some time off to go on a non-food and beverage related trip. Spending time with friends gives me the time to be completely removed from work, and that's time that I need. A few years ago, I realized that I hadn't read a non-food and beverage related book since college, and that's obviously not okay. All of this is to say that we have a really cool job. We get to do something that we love and something that the majority of the world loves too. But just because it's amazing and because people partake in eating and drinking every day doesn't mean that it has to be our entire lives. You're allowed to have interests outside of the food and beverage industry while still being an incredible bartender and an incredible hospitalitarian. Thanks so much for spending time with me talking about work-life balance. I think it's important to remember that having work-life balance isn't some kind of perfection we're looking to achieve, but rather a day-to-day practice of mindfulness and gentleness with ourselves. Remember to give yourself the same kindness and attention that you would give everyone else in your life, and don't be too hard on yourself when you falter.
Just wanted to say thank you for having me today. We're living in a very challenging and weird time, and I want to ensure that we're doing the best that we can possibly do to be mindful, to implement sustainable practices into our everyday routine, and to try to be a better version of ourselves every day, because we truly do believe that we can do what we love and be the best versions of ourselves. All right, take care. Bye.